video is about how do I afford my Porsche Panamera and how I actually have it set up to where I don't actually have a car note on. I don't pay a car note for it. It's one of those videos about how to make a liability, turn a liability into an asset. So I'm going to show you this right now. So as you can see here, this is the Porsche Panamera, and I don't pay a car note for it. And you're like, hey, why don't you pay a car note for a car so beautiful? How do you actually do that? Like, what is it? How can I do that? That's probably what you're asking. Now, I'm going to show you how I did it. So here is my Chevy Suburban. All right, so 2016 Chevy Suburban. The 2016 Chevy Suburban. So what I do is I take that Chevy Suburban and I actually rent that out on Turo. It's a rental vehicle. Now, that vehicle, that specific vehicle, a Chevy Suburban, will rent for about $100 to $200 a month, or a day, actually. Sorry, that vehicle, a Chevy Suburban, the deluxe vehicle like that, will rent for about $100 to $200 a day. So what I did was I bought this vehicle actually in January, and I always wanted a Porsche Panamera, which was my dream car, and I always wanted to know how can I get this car without paying the car note. And one thing that you need to know about financial freedom is you want to be able to, true wealth is when your assets are generating enough income to pay for all your expenses. So if you got sick or you weren't able to work, your assets will still pay for all your expenses, no matter what happened, no matter what state you are in today. That's what will be happening. So if you're already in that position where your wealth, where you have assets and they are paying for all your expenses, and you just go to work and you enjoy life as it is, that's what wealth is. It's not about the dollar amount in your bank account. Well, it can be. However, the one precedes the other. I basically use this Suburban to pay off this Porsche. So the Suburban is actually paying for the Porsche, and it eliminates me out of having to pay a car note. So the only thing that, of course, that expense that I'm actually paying is the insurance, the car insurance for both vehicles, and of course my wife's vehicle as well. However, I don't want to say this. You got to kind of test the waters when it comes to how you should go about, certain business decisions. And one of the business decisions that I wanted to make, and one of the things that I wanted to prove to myself was, one, that I could do it, and two, that it works. I got to confirm that it works. We all need to know if it works. There are different resources available, such as YouTube, Facebook. There's a group, a Turo support group, where hosts come together and they give each other the ins and outs of what they experience and how they should deal with a problem if it should ever arise. But they also share these issues with you if you should ever come across them, which is very good and supportive, because a lot of those issues, one day you as a business owner, entrepreneur, will come across them. I don't care what it is, when it happens, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So one thing that I proved to myself is, hey, yeah, you could do it. One thing you could do, and that's on top of writing my first children's book and selling that, and it's still selling. It's going to be there forever. That I could do it. And once you're able to build that confidence, you're able to step up to your next level. So what am I going to be doing? What's going to be my next move? I like SUVs. I plan on buying another SUV or maybe a possible box truck. And next thing you know, it's paying the car note. But next now I'm trying to focus on is how to pay my mortgage. So what I did was, I was thinking about getting rid of this Chevy Suburban, but I was thinking about how can I afford my dream car, a Porsche Panamera. So one thing that I thought about was this. Well, what if instead of me paying this car note over here, I use this peer-to-peer car sharing platform called Turo, put it on Turo and rent my vehicle and let that pay for ultimately my dream car, which is my Porsche. So back in October, I did like a trial. So I put my vehicle on Turo, and in November it was renting like back to back. And ultimately in December, I found some issues that I were not used to, that I wasn't expecting. I guess the price of doing business is what I'm going to call or refer to. I'm going to refer to as the price of doing business. So there are upfront costs that you have to pay, as far as, you know, when your vehicle is done renting, you have to make sure it's cleaned, it's disinfected for the next renter. You also have to make sure you're keeping up with your oil changes, in which Turo doesn't give you any type of fee or cleaning fee or service fee for that. So it's everything you have to do is pretty much on your own. So you got to adjust your prices accordingly. So I took it down off the car sharing platform in December. I canceled some trips, which I wish I wouldn't have done. Ultimately, I relisted the vehicle back in January, and my Chevy Suburban, from the area that I am, in the market that I am, most SUVs are renting pretty normally. And I'm talking about maybe 15 to 20 days a month. So I ultimately put it back on for rent back in January, and now I'm back in it's February, so I still have upcoming trips that I'm preparing for as we speak. So now let's talk about the numbers. The numbers is what people, that's why you're watching this video. You want to know what Turo is and how does it work. So basically you get your vehicle. Once you get a vehicle, I don't care if it's a vehicle you don't drive, it's being garage kept, luxury, economy, it doesn't matter. As long as if you're not driving it and you don't need it at the time, go ahead and put it on Turo. It's going to pay itself off. So what I do is this: I put my vehicle on Turo, and now you can pretty much go onto Turo and you can rent my vehicle whenever you want. And of course, you're going to have to pay the fees that comes with it. You have to pay the Turo fee. Turo actually insures the vehicle. But the numbers, let's go to the numbers. So my SUV rents off for about $90 to $100 a day. I'm actually below the market. I'm about average. I'm between the market average, because the average for a SUV is between $80 to $100 on Turo platform. Now, if you go to Hertz and Avis, Budget, all these other different rental companies, you'll see that an SUV is renting actually for over $200 a day. So Turo is actually having a competitive advantage when it comes to the prices. So a lot of people are renting vehicles from Turo, and it doesn't take a genius to see that in an analysis. You don't have to have a accounting or economics degree to see that Turo is having a competitive advantage right now as far as prices goes in the rental market. So with that being said, if you are planning on getting into the rental car business, or you want to start your own business, I know people who have one car, like myself. I will be adding a second car in about maybe 60 days. I know people who have 48 cars on the platform. If you want to get into this business, it is very lucrative. You can make money on it. And this is how you're going to do it. This is how I did it. You're going to have to leverage your debt. So if you are one of those people out there who have good credit, and you don't know you don't even know what to do with your good credit. You've paid all your bills on time. You go and check your credit report, and it says, hey, 100% on time. Lenders love lending money to you because they know you're going to be responsible enough to pay them back. So by that being said, here's my option to you if you plan on getting on the Turo car sharing platform. Number one, when you go to a dealership, don't tell them they're going to run your credit. And you tell the guy specifically, hey, send my credit to such and such, or send my credit to this person. So if you go to Ford, you want to buy a Ford F-150, say, hey, only send my credit report to Ford. Then once they finance you, you go to the next dealership. You say, hey, only such and such, send my credit report to here. Who are the banks y'all normally deal with? Send it to that one bank. Once they finance you, so that way, if you're using that method, you can go and get multiple vehicles in one day, and you can grow your Turo fleet up to 1 to 5 to 10 vehicles in 1 week. Actually, yes, it's a lot more riskier. Make sure you are able to fund those car notes, because usually it's going to take time to get them on the car sharing platform. But make sure you have some money to cover those costs when the car notes and payments are due. Sometimes, depending on what bank, you usually have 45 days, which is a long time to get your vehicle on the car sharing platform and rent it out. So I wouldn't worry about as far as the length. I would just make sure you have some money in the bank just for overhead costs or miscellaneous expenses that you may have to incur while you're in the process of getting all your vehicles onto the platform. Some of you guys are like, oh, that's so risky. It sounds like a hard thing to do. But fear not, guys. Don't be afraid to be afraid. That's one thing you're gonna actually have to know about when it comes to being an entrepreneur and a business owner. You cannot be afraid of doing certain things. And this calls for a totally different way of thinking, a totally different perspective. And it's gonna be scary because we've been taught from the time we were in school to the time we graduated high school, go out and get a job. Go out and get a job. But let me tell you this, guys, a job will not fund your wealth. And a job is only going to provide you for the means necessary to meet your basic needs. Now, what you do with after that, as far as investing, buying real estate, starting a business, is how you're going to actually gain your wealth. Leverage your income now and start building your wealth as we speak. So this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to start thinking differently and look at things from a different perspective. There are different coaches available, different courses. Guys, there's some good information out there. EYL podcasts on Spotify, they give you great information as far as government contracts and different ways to actually start building your wealth now. Start building your portfolios. So whether it's stocks, real estate investing, anything that you want to get into, start doing it now. That way, when the time comes at age 45, 50, you can retire in peace. Your assets are actually are actually already taking your expenses. Then you have more just to continue to live your life. If you want to travel, you can actually travel. Don't be the guy in 30 years who worked a job for 30 years saying, oh, I'm gonna retire and just travel the world. No, you're not. No, you're not, because you're one health scare away from depleting your retirement. And I've seen it happen several times to different people. So I know real life experience. I know what to expect and what not to expect. I know what's reasonable beyond means. I'm sorry, but I am a realist, and this is how I'm bringing it to you. Don't be afraid to be afraid. Once you break that ice, just keep moving forward, because when you look back, you're going to realize that you're way further along than you would have been if you would have just stayed back there being afraid. So that's my advice to you guys. If you want to know more about Turo, leave a like or comment in the section down below, and I'll be more than willing to answer your questions. How the Turo platforming work, because I think it's very beneficial, especially for people who are wanting more, who wants to do more in their life, who want to build that wealth. There are a lot of ways to do that, and this is just one of them. So make sure you like and subscribe, by the way, and make sure you click that bell for notifications so that way you can be alerted when I upload new content. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, peace out.